Well, hello there,
Hello, hello.
and welcome to our podcast. I'm Bill,
And I'm Curtis,
and we are father and son, and together we are
your Geekdumb Prophets.
Geekdumb Prophets. That's right. So if you've been, confused about geek kind of things, hopefully we can kind of shed some light a little bit, but at the same time, kind of bringing a little different type of light to the situation, shall we say?
Are you trying
What
to,
do you think?
Are you trying to impersonate a drunk pirate here?
Arrgh! Avast ye, matey!
You sound
Aye.
like you sound the part, but your face still isn't giving it. It's all so
Your face just... Sorry, I gotta take a look like I'm taking a dump. Does that make it better?
Well, not all pirates have a grimace on their face. Some of them smile.
Oh, sorry. There's a squeakiness underneath the chair. Exactly. They're not all good pirates or bad pirates. Some are good pirates.
There's good pirates and there's bad pirates. Like there's good
That's-
Marines and there's bad Marines.
Exactly. Hey, guess why I'm wearing this?
I don't know. Why are you wearing this? Because I'm really, really excited.
I know. I think you're very excited. Okay, so Curtis, that's the son. I'm the father. There you go. That's right.
Me.
In case you were wondering, I'm the one with the. I'm the father. I am Zorro.
Yeah, exactly. Get to the point. Why are we excited?
We're excited because Dad finally watched One Piece. Yes, I did.
Oh!
What? Can I get what? That's right. Okay, I still have not broken down to watch the anime. You used to watch the anime and read all the manga when you were younger. And I tried sitting down and watching some of those shows with you, and I was just like, oh, I can't handle.
But what just released on Netflix?
The live action of One Piece. That is what I want. Oh, and they re-released the anime, didn't they?
Oh, they all. Well, the anime's always been on there, but with the Netflix show, I finally got you to watch One Piece upon my recommendation, being a fan and absolutely enjoying the ever-living crap out of it.
That's right. Well, we keep talking about we're doing geek stuff on here and things that would, it appeals to the modern culture as well as not just, the 50-year-old culture of mine generation that only watches, old, classic Star Wars and classic Trek. And
yeah, old man.
That's right.
You gotta get
who
with
you
the
calling
times.
old?
You gotta get with the times,
who you calling?
Man. You gotta get with the times.
Well, and I thought it would be a great transition into our topic coming into today. But so I thought, why not talk about One Piece? That's fantastic. But before we do, we got to go into, hey, anything new happening? What's going on? You get any new purchases?
Well,
got to keep your geeks up.
Along with One Piece, coming out, I was not going to pick up the series again until Eiichiro Oda actually decided to finally finish it, which
watch your mouth.
I know. It's like George R. R. Martin. You never know. They'll say something and then take another 20 years to actually, finally publish the final book. But with the Netflix One Piece series, and myself enjoying it so much, I really wanted to get back into watching the anime, but I realized that watching through 1,000 episodes of a cartoon, I don't have the time for. So instead, I just took the money and bought at least the first quarter of the series.
It's you really?
Manga.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, you never owned the original 20... You didn't buy them until like...
I own bits and pieces here and there. Most of what I had read had already been adapted into an anime. So I had watched the first, I don't know, some like 200 episodes of the anime, which was the first 30-something volumes of the manga.
How long is each episode?
You're looking at a minimum of 18 minutes of actual storytelling.
So 200 of those.
200 of those. Yeah,
of children yelling.
Yes, exactly. I loved it. It was wonderful. It was way more high octane and high energy than it had any right to be. But it was fun.
I know. I got to be appreciative of it. I get it.
But I did start picking up the actual manga on a regular basis, starting with volume 36, and I read that until well outside of high school. I think it was maybe around volume 60 something that I kind of fell off from reading it. I just had a lot going on, never got back into it, and I was just going to wait until, again, like I said, Oda had finally decided to finish the series before jumping back in, because I knew of the, significant cost disadvantage that reading 100 plus volumes of a $10 manga is going to cost me.
That's a lot of money. Plus you got distracted, as the Boy Scouts would say, you got distracted by all the fumes in your life.
Yeah.
The car fumes and the perfumes.
I wish.
Ah!
I wish, but no, that is not the case.
Look behind you.
No. I got the other stuff. The stuff that I get made fun of on a regular basis for. But you know what? Who cares?
That's all right.
Anyways.
No, I'm proud of you, boy. That's right. I'm glad you got those. Well, so at least you'll be able to sit down and reread, catch up. But those are basically what the first season's all about, is those.
The first 11 volumes of the manga is essentially the entire first season of the Netflix live action show. So I watched it. I was initially thinking this is going to be crap because it's from the same studio that brought us the live action Cowboy Bebop, which literally made me want to vomit after the first
that was awful.
Of watching. So
that's terrible.
I was not looking forward to this series. This is a very, very goofy series.
Yeah, 2 thumbs down. This is 2 thumbs up.
How can you make well, we'll get into it, but it gets pretty crazy. Some of the elements really not very realistic, and I didn't think they could pull it off in live action, and contrary to popular belief, they very much did. So
they did. Okay, well, here's what I got. What I got, and apparently, as I think you told me, you got them too, but you've already opened yours?
Mine. Yeah,
I haven't opened mine yet.
Mine are currently in one of these display cases.
So what these are new Star Wars Black Series figures. These are from the expanded universe. So this is what my brother, the good stuff, the original expanded universe before Disney started. So like this was from the video games, and then you got Darth Malak and Darth Malgus. He's from the Old Republic. And then my favorite, and they also wrote novels about them and everything. Ambassador LaShawn. That's right. She's awesome. Also from the video games. So, this is the stuff that they're finally bringing back, some of these things that Disney calls legends now. All this stuff. But
I just call it canon because that's what it is, and Disney is fanfic.
That's right. And again, for those people trying to learn, canon is the storyline of Star Wars, that everything is written in there together, all the cards, the books, the video games, the movies, comics, everything flows into one canon. So everything's in a certain timeline until Disney came over.
I think we should have a separate episode for the dissection of what canon is, because you can get into some pretty, weird territory with discussing that type of stuff, and it's I think it's interesting and fun.
Yep, and then they do the Fonzarelli thing with Happy Days and Jump the Shark. Yeah, exactly. When we get into time change and all the time zone, all kinds of different things. Anyways, so those are the cool things I got. I haven't even got to open them yet. I was like, wow. I gotta get around to opening them and putting them on my display.
You got to find room on said display.
That's why I haven't opened them. It's exactly why I haven't opened them. I'm like, oh, okay, all the bad guys over here, and I gotta I gotta make room for the 2 new baddies.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's an ever ongoing process, which is very exciting as well.
Well, and then I gotta find space for this bad boy somewhere. I don't know where it's gonna go. These shelves are full.
Well, and if you can see over my right shoulder, I can see if I can grab this without pulling everything down.
He'll pull everything down. It'll be funny.
It'll be funny. I actually found this dude at a flea market. Lando. Original mini bust. And I was like, they had it for $20. I was like, that's awesome. I never got him, so I have to again make space. He'll probably go right about there. So you should see him in the next podcast. Like a little good angel telling me what to say on my shoulder. He'll be right above me up there.
Well,
You think?
Lando, he's real smooth with that tongue of his. He'll be more like a
Speaking,
devil.
yeah, speaking of Lando, did you see who was just chosen to play Lando in the new Star Wars movie about Lando Calrissian?
Donald Glover,
Yeah.
the same as who played him in Solo.
I thought it was Danny Glover.
Danny, no, Donald Glover.
Donald as well. I
No,
know it's going to be when he's a little younger. All those things. We'll see.
I don't want the movie. Go away.
Uh, yeah.
I'm
Again,
good.
back to going to the canon stuff.
But let's talk about something really good. Really good.
Really good. What is that?
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of why you're wearing a silly
Okay.
little hat.
Right. So what I was trying to come up with was, obviously we were looking at, hey, where do we want to go from coming out of father figures and, the whole identity crisis situation about who you are and finding who you are. But part of that was also going out into the next segment of, when you find yourself, find who you are, that we see another constant theme through comic books and through history
It's
about
big time in manga. That that's
big time.
that's that is the basis of almost every shonen manga out of Japan, and we'll
Which
get to it.
is the basis that Curtis is alluding to.
The power of
The
friendship.
power of friendships. To have super friends that are super, super great. I mean, you even go back into like regular American modern, literature when you're talking about Huckleberry Finn and Tom,
Mark
and
Twain.
Tom, and yeah, with Mark Twain, and you're going into comic books. You're talking about Batman as Robin, and then you
Oh,
have
Batman and Robin. The bigger one, though, being World's Finest, the duo of Batman and Superman,
Batman and
best
Superman.
friends.
That's right. Getting together. Speaking of, happy belated Batman Day.
Yeah,
That that was what, 2 days ago, the 15th.
15th.
15th. Yep. A couple days ago, it was September 15th was Happy Batman Day. Uncle
Woo!
Matt sent me a bunch of little videos on I'm Batman.
None of my friends sent me anything.
They
Losers.
sent you nothing. I have to forward it over to you. I was going
I
to and
know,
I
right?
didn't. Oh man, you missed all the fun. It was great. Batman's worst. It was Batman's worst day. Was he had to go um to the pharmacy to the tampon aisle for for Wonder Woman. He sent me this. It was
Oh
so
man.
funny. It was hilarious. I'm Batman.
Well, with
Batman
that,
versus feminine hygiene. What's
well,
that?
with that, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
What you do for
Batman and
friends.
Superman. It's what you do for friends.
It's what you do
Batman's
for friends.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
You gotta
So
suffer through it.
all that came along to the idea that, what helps make a great individual, and sometimes what helps us make decisions in our own life about who we are and about where can make determinations was friendships. And so watching One Piece was just like, okay,
It
this
is
is
it is all about friends. But before we
yeah.
get into it, let's actually I'll give a little bit of a background and an understanding for those that
Okay,
don't know
exactly.
what this particular
For
series
those who haven't gotten
is.
around to watch it on Netflix, parents, watch it with your kids. There's one little nude butt scene,
It's hysterical
needless. Yeah, it's the gratuitous butt scene. It's like, why did they have to show this dude?
because it was funny and it was
It, but,
phallic is
but
what
it's
it was.
from the comic and it's from the
And it's
manga.
that particular scene, no, they made it for the purpose of comedic effect, which works for the series as a whole. It's more of a visual
Exactly.
gag type thing. But for
Exactly.
those that don't know about One Piece and exactly what it is, One Piece is a little series out of well, I don't want to say little considering
It's
it's
huge.
100 of these.
Yeah. They're
200
like,
it's 22,000 pages of comic book is what it is.
and you're
Now,
talking, when did it start? I mean, we're
this
talking years
series
ago.
started out in 1997 and
There
it
you
is
go. So
still
this is,
published. Oh,
yeah.
and here's the other thing. It has outsold the global lifetime sales of Batman back in 2019.
Wow. And for
One
those who don't
Piece
know, Batman's always been the number one selling comic book ever,
globally.
globally.
Globally. This is everywhere from Japan to Afghanistan to here. If you can somehow sell a comic book, you most likely have had either The Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, or some of the classics in there in your store. This is a character that has pretty much surpassed time immemorial at this point, and this little manga series has now completely and utterly outstripped Batman in lifetime sales. So, if you yourself don't know what One Piece is, I advise that you read at least the first chapter.
You're going to know within the next few months because One Piece is going to be like the talk. That's all they're going to be talking about. You're going to see it on your Netflix display, number one show that everybody's watching. You'll be like, "Oh, what's this? What's this?" And then you'll begin to understand here.
Well, what is One Piece? Well, it's a story about a guy that eats this special fruit that turns him into a rubber man. Yeah,
Turns him into Mr. Fantastic.
you pause for dramatic effect here. You heard me correctly. He is a rubber man. And
Yeah.
with that, he can stretch, he can take a pounding, all kinds of crazy stuff. It takes a lot to hurt this guy. He's a little weak against knives, and he is searching across these great seas for a particular treasure called the One Piece. That is
One
what
piece of
everybody
treasure.
that's what everybody in this world understands this treasure to be. It is the One Piece. And along the way, he has zany, crazy adventures and meets all kinds of fun little people that he insists on joining his crew.
He
Of
says
pirates.
he says they are part of the crew, even though they say we're not a crew.
Exactly. Exactly.
I did find that funny. That was pretty humorous. Not a crew, not a crew.
But with that, like you said, not a crew. He kind of views them as, yes, they are his crewmates, but first and foremost, he wants them to be his friend.
And that's the importance of it all. That's
That's
what he
the
wants
importance of it all.
the crew
That's
to
what
be
he
based
wants.
on. That's right, because that's
Yep.
where, because with friendship comes into all kinds of different things of coming into play, like with loyalty, and just someone to be there for you when you're down, someone a shoulder to cry on, someone you can eat together, socialize together, but also fight together.
Fight,
That's
fight, fight. There's literally an opening song in the anime. One of the openings is literally titled "Fight Together." So
in the anime itself.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's great. It's wonderful.
So this is all in the pursuit of personal gain, personal
Personal gain,
what?
personal
How
treasure.
would you want to call that? How would you want to call that?
Initially you would think so based off of the premise, but whenever you actually get to learn about our main character of Luffy, who is our little rubber boy, he is
Monkey.
as selfish. Yeah, Monkey D. Luffy is his full name. He is as selfless as can be. All
Yeah.
that he wants to do is just help people. He wants people to pursue their dreams. He wants people to be free of the oppression that's in the area, free of the oppression that has dominated their lives, either through actions or through their own troubles. He's very much, there's something out there that you want. What is keeping you back? Let's go and defeat it together so you can proceed onwards with fulfilling your dream.
Well, even that alone is something that's different. Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
watch any show nowadays, and it's we've kind of mentioned this before about you get these characters, and we talk about the redeeming arc, the redemption arc, the messianic complex that we've gone through, and you see these characters, and you're like, these people are awful. They're horrible,
Oh.
horrible, horrible human beings.
They're
But then it
horrible to
was
themselves, they're horrible to
yeah,
each other, and you're like, I'm
exactly.
supposed to root for this character as
Yeah.
this hero? No.
You can't, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this persona of these movies and things that they force on us as a society, and they're like, okay, this is what everybody's wanting. This is what everyone wants. It's like, no, they're not. When you look at the sales of some of these movies that are exceeding anything that they had expectations of. That's what people are looking for, is the guy that is the good guy. They want the guy who's gonna go out and kill hundreds of people because they killed his dog or they took his car. Maybe that's, John Wick. That's maybe
Well,
a little bit different there, but
let's go through some of
but
these characters then with that
yeah,
and kind of what their ambitions are. That Luffy's just like, yeah, I want you to be my friend. Our first character that we're introduced to, that actually later on will officially join his crew, is a pirate hunter by the name of Roanoa Zoro.
Zoro. I am Zoro.
We are introduced to this character because he slaughters a dude that's trying to hire him for a criminal organization.
That's all there is to it. Yeah,
That's all
so it's
there is
like,
to it. It's so straightforward.
yep.
It's
So
so
it's these
straightforward.
people, who may have rough backgrounds. People that you wouldn't normally say, "Oh, hey, that's gonna make a great friend. Let's pick
Well,
them."
to Luffy's credit, he doesn't know what Zoro's background is. Zoro's introduction for Luffy is he sees this little girl that is offering Zoro food that is then trampled upon by an evil marine, the son of a Navy Marine,
Right.
who stomps all over the food, calls it garbage, and Zoro's response is he simply bends down, eats the food off the floor, tells it to the little girl that it was delicious, and then offers the same food to the Marine. And the Marine just simply goes, ew, that's gross. You think you're so tough, tough guy, three swords. And Zoro proceeds to kick his ass in the middle of a bar without once drawing his blades.
That's right. And everybody's watching. But that's where I like this whole concept of like the friends and the friendship, and is that they can come out of unforeseen situations. Like, okay, I'll give you an example here in my personal life,
Oh,
own life. So I used to work in town and I drove 25 miles away. Well, then I started I finally got an apartment that was closer to where my work was. And then I had a guy who I had been meeting up with periodically. He was like, "Hey, you want to stick around after work and just go out to eat?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I developed this friendship with this guy. And so his name is Dan. And then Dan invited his roommate, Greg. Um, and so then we all kind of became friends. And every Monday night became Monday night flight night. So being the geeks that we were, different things or whatever, not huge sports people. So we'd go to uh, we'd go to Monday night, we'd go and get pizza and beer, and it was flight night. So we had it dirt cheap, and it turned into just this. Every Monday we started hanging out, and then other people started coming and hanging out with us because, let's face it, people are all starving looking for a friendship, and we just had a
oh
blast.
yeah.
And then I said, okay, let's. To me, one of the best things to do to get to really know somebody is to, and I challenge anybody out here to do this, is to ask somebody their favorite movie or their favorite book, and watch that movie or read the book, and you will get to know that person faster than anything, because you'll be like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
that's the kind of movie you like, and you're like, okay, this is cool, this is cool.
Well, and with this particular scene where Luffy is actually meeting Zoro, Luffy is seeing Zoro's personality on full display and what he's actually like. He's very much, I'm going to defend the innocent. I'm not going to take this lying down, and I want to make sure that that the people around him are safe. It's something that resonates with Luffy, and he goes, "Yep, he's going to be part of my crew. I'm going to make him part of my crew." But whenever he approaches Zoro about it, Zoro just simply says, "No, I don't want to be used like that anymore." You don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with this character, and Luffy's response is simply, "Why would I want to use you?
Well,
You
and
got
you
a
think
dream
even,
out there, right?"
yeah, exactly. Well, even scripturally, we look at that and say, okay, well, a friend loves at all times. Despite what type of person this is, or despite what kind of background they might have had, that you're like, okay, I'm a friend, and I'm going to, in this case, lay down, willing to fight for them, things like that. And you're like, whoa, this is intense. This is insane that you would have that close of a friendship with the loyalty that's imbued there.
Oh yeah, and you know, laid some of those loyalties, though, are challenged at times. Some of that, what you would think to be loyal, like one of the other characters who is also introduced during this bar scene by the character of Nami. She
Hmm.
comes across as mischievous, can't really trust her, has her own agenda, which she does.
And she says right up, she's a thief.
She is a thief.
That's how she defined herself. I'm a
She
thief.
is a thief. But within that, Luffy also sees something a little deeper and proceeds to say, well, I think you should be my navigator because you seem to know what you're doing here. I really don't. But
She can get through
later
the ins
on,
and outs.
yeah, she can get through the ins and outs. But later on, for those that are a little apprehensive about spoilers, hold your ears here. She
Telling it
does
all.
she does eventually have her own agenda, but that agenda is in relation to people that she herself wants to free, something that she's been
Hmm.
doing all of her life. But later on, she finds out she can't do it alone, has one hell of a breakdown, and the entire time, Luffy is standing behind her, just waiting for her to turn around and simply say, "Help me."
Help me. Oh, and that's the culmination of you kept giving me all this warning, like
Oh, and
episode
it's
seven,
so
episode
good.
seven,
It's so good.
episode seven.
It's the moment where Luffy realizes that he's like, "Yep, I could die here, but you know what? My friend needs help. I'm going to give it to her." So he takes
Yep.
his greatest treasure, which is a simple straw hat, and places it on her head as a symbol of take care of this. I'm going to go take care of this asshole that's been absolutely running amok in your hometown.
That's right.
It's
That's
great.
right.
I love it. It's such a simple moment within the show itself, and it's all of this culmination of her debating if she should trust them, give loyalties to somebody, actually embrace the idea of friendship. And whenever she finally does, that one person who she's been traveling with for almost the pretty much the entirety of this show up until this point, just simply says, "Yeah, I'm gonna help you. I just needed you to ask me."
Oh, there's a big lesson for a lot of us. We're afraid to make friendships. Like I said, like
Yeah.
even this guy of the, he's a friend of mine to this day. He first asked me, "Hey, you want to just go out to eat?" And it was like it became this huge thing. And then, like I said, every Monday we actually put everybody's names in a hat and we put down a movie, our favorite movie, and then we drew. And so every Monday we got together and we were watching each other's favorite movies. So like I said, it was a way that you get to know each other, but it was also a way that you have to open yourself up to let other people get to know you.
Oh yeah.
That's a risk factor on your part as the individual. I mean, I I can picture. Okay, gonna share a little bit here. Maybe not. Curtis tends to be a little bit of an introvert sometimes. Yeah.
Really? What gave that away?
the, the stash of books behind you that
Oh,
he
really?
loves to
I
read.
know the stash of. I'm still reading them, by the way.
You gotta, whatever. You can say you're an introvert expert. You do well extrovertedly and socializing. That's not a problem. But, it's where you find your inner strength. That's what really defines you as an introvert versus an extrovert. Me, I get out and hey, let's get together and have some fun. And boom, I'm excited. It energizes me and Curtis. So, speaking from
Burns
extrovert
me out.
burns you. Well, and so speaking of that, from, speak on that as an introvert. You know, what's the
Oh,
importance of
yeah.
finding your friends?
Well, it's I'm very much I only have so much energy for people. That's just how I
Tolerate to
am.
tolerate, right? Yeah.
No, it's not even tolerate. It's just straight up. I only have so much energy that I can devote to people on a day to day basis. I'm very much all of my energy is mine that I want to keep. I don't want to give it away. I feel like you're taking it. So whenever I make friends, they become very, very, very personal to me.
So it's
It's
not
the
like
type
John
of people.
Cusack,
Oh,
where
what
you're
does John
the
Cusack say?
he says, what is it? I'm a paranoid schizophrenic.
Yeah, no, not that.
I'm a,
Maybe
I'm my own
sometimes.
entourage. I'm my own
Some
entourage.
sometimes I think of myself as my own entourage. I'm like,
That's right.
I just walk into the room
Woo!
and I'm like, I'm the
That's right.
cool guy here, even though I don't know anybody.
He's got the
Not
Spider-Man
really.
music in
No.
the background going, yeah, this is
Yes,
it.
I am Tobey Maguire from
You're Tobey
Spider-Man 3, and I'm
Maguire.
just like
That's right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
doing all the stupid dances in the street. It's great. No, but whenever I do make friends though, there's an element of a personal connection that I have made with them, and I have plenty of other people in my life that I would say are acquaintances, friends, but those that
Mm-hmm.
I ultimately open up to as a means of, hey, can you help me with this? I'm going through some
Right.
emotional problems. I'm going through some struggles. They're I'm not very open about that. I'm much more selective about the type of people that I want in my life, even if that selection is very, very small.
Right. Well, and I think that's important too. You got to find that balance because, I've also talked to the people who are just like, "Phew, everything's on their sleeve,
Open up
and
about everything. Yeah.
everybody knows everything about them, and they're friends with everybody, and it's like then you're giving a piece of you to too many people, and therefore you also open yourself up to be cut by that many people. I think it was psychologists say that if most people will have 10 to 12 friends in their life, so it's good friends, but even in that you will only have two or three deep friends that you will become intimate with, that you share things with, and that become those friends for life. Even when you talk to kids that go to high school and they go to college and they're like, oh, I'm gonna have friends for life, and it's like, really? You get to college, that's where you tend to try to find a little more, or you get involved, maybe a group at work, or obviously in church you meet people, and those are the ones that you find, those two or three that have the same values as you,
Well,
and those ones are the ones that become in.
it's values, and it's the experiences in your life where later on you have, like in high school, you have experiences. You've experienced tragedy, heartbreak, all
Right.
that fun stuff, and your friends were there for you. But as you continue on through life, you're going to have friends that are going to pass away. You're going to have friends that are going to get married. You're going to have friends that are going to have children. You're going to have friends that are going to get divorced. There are other levels of experience that you are later going to have, and those people that are there in that moment will then grow within your bond as a friendship.
Mhm.
Some of those people may not experience what you experienced in high school. They don't
Yeah.
have the understanding. One of the things with Luffy and Nami's relationship within One Piece, and they don't really get into it within the show, but specifically within the manga, whenever the rest of the cast is having Nami's background explained to them, Luffy walks off.
Mm.
He doesn't
Oh yeah.
care. His experience isn't in relation to what she was back in the past. All that he cared about is what she's experienced currently.
Right. Who she is
That's
now.
who she is now and the type of struggles that she's currently going through. And so he just walks off. She's like, they're like, you don't want to hear this? He's like, nope, don't care. I like where she is currently. I want to know where she's going to grow going forward.
Well, that's a challenge for all of us, to
Oh
make
yeah.
friends and not be, the big buzzword is don't judge me. Well, I get, like, I'm not judging you, but the whole idea is that at the same time it's more of, I'm not going to hold these things against you to say that that's the type of person you are in all situations and for all time. That
Oh yeah.
people can change.
People can
People
change.
should
People
change.
people do change, even if we
They do
ourselves
change.
don't actually realize it. People do change, and that's one of the good things about, like, specifically with One Piece, is that these characters found that they had a deeper connection and a deeper goal and an understanding about who they were, and they went, the
Mhm.
past is the past. From this point on, we are going to grow together.
Together. I think that's the biggest difference is there's a growth. There's a difference
Oh
with
yeah.
friendships that, when you see these friendships, they're in the same place that they were 3 or 4 years ago. I think that's why you see in movies and stuff that people dread going back to like high
the,
school
the
reunions
high
and stuff like
school
that,
reunions.
because all they remember you is I ran into some friends from when I was in eighth grade, and or seventh or eighth grade, I had just joined the youth group, and so I ran into some friends at an old youth pastor's funeral, and then I saw them again just a couple weeks ago, and they look at me, and they were juniors and seniors in high school, and I was seventh and eighth grade, so my brothers were older, and they said, "Bill, all I remember you as was the whiny little brat that just expected everything to be done for you," and I was like, "Okay, so like, okay, why?" would I want to hang out with you then? If that's, other than if I'm trying to prove to you that I'm no longer that, where that should be kind of a given, I'm different than what I was 30 years ago. There's a change that happened, and so that's where, we as people have to be cautious of who we spend our time on trying to prove we're different or trying to prove who we are. Does that make sense?
Hey, if you really want to go deep into this, you can go and read Mark 6, chapter 1. He went away from there and came to his hometown, and his disciples followed him. And on the Sabbath he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things? What is the wisdom given to him? How are such mighty works done by his hands?" Even Jesus Christ went home, and everybody had a different perception of him than what he actually was, being
Yeah.
the Son of God.
Ooh, look at you. How about that? That's a good way to come into our hope. Look at you. Boom, drop the mic. Boop, boop, boom, boom. I mean, that's an incredible segue there to go into the parabolic reaction of understanding, hey, what types of friendships are you looking for? Are you looking for ones that are loyal? Are you looking for these things that you want somebody to die for you? Are you the judgmental type that you're judging everybody before they can even become your friends? Are you the one sitting in the back going, "Oh, well, look at them, they're too fat. Oh, look at them, they don't wear their clothes right. Oh, look at them, they're too poor, or they're too rich, or look at
Hey,
them,
look
they
at that guy
watch."
in the camera. His hat looks stupid.
Yeah, look at those idiots. They watch One Piece. I play football. I play football. They do not.
Me, 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 meathead. Throw pigskin.
That's right. Any movie you can go out there and watch, and it talks about the difference how people cross over the classification lines and things like that.
Breakfast
Or
Club. It's great. The entire point of that movie is that it's different groups of people coming together over a same cause and a same understanding of who they
right.
are.
Yep. And that becomes
Oh,
the
it's
cause.
wonderful.
There's has to be that something that draws you two together, and so when you're looking for friendships, the understanding that a friend loves at all times, despite who you are, despite what you are doing, what you're currently doing, but it's also that's an after the fact. But you look at a friend and what you should be doing in order to obtain a friend initially. The Bible says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength. But then the second greatest commandment is what? To love your neighbor as yourself. How do you develop those friendships is that's the tough part. And even as One Piece has displayed to us, it's putting other people's needs above your own, or making, if you even want to make the claim, making their needs your own so that theirs are fulfilled even before yours. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
tough. That's insane. Even when you look at Jesus dying on the cross, he had his 12 disciples, but he still had his three closest friends, even. Peter, James, and John, the one that he shared, he shared, the personal stories, the intimate, he said, ask them to come and pray with him. Those three, that Jesus willingly gave up his life for his friends and for all of humanity. But that whole idea comes across in One Piece. It comes across in many of the comic books that we talk about, the stories of just the importance of friendships and what are you willing to do to
Oh,
not just obtain it.
man. What? I mean, you can look at the Justice League, the X-Men, the Super Friends, the
Yeah, it's all in
Avengers,
the title.
where a lot of the excitement about those team books comes from the interpersonal drama. What we really like to read about is moments like Wolverine and Nightcrawler. Their friendship runs very, very deep, to the point where
Hmm.
Wolverine himself isn't a Christian.
Right.
He's not. But he respects and loves Nightcrawler so much that he carries a Bible around with him because he wants to
Mm-hmm.
understand Nightcrawler's faith. What
Yep.
drives him to this desire to follow a god where he is literally the embodiment of that god's he's the visual embodiment of what people perceive to be that god's enemy through demons. He literally
Right.
looks like one. Whenever he teleports, it smells of sulfur. But yet, their bond and their friendship drives their own interpersonal relationship within the comic book to where whenever Nightcrawler actually does die, spoiler, he does die at one point. I know,
What?
comic books, they all come back later on.
Oh yeah.
But whenever he specifically died, the one to mourn the most was Wolverine. That was his drinking buddy. Literally, that's what they did after missions. Is it was those two going off and getting a brew together. That's a great friendship.
That's a great way.
Well,
And that's
then
more.
if you look at characters like Batman and Robin, also deep friendship there, to the point where Tim Drake, whenever he's introduced, who to those that are uninitiated is the third Robin.
Third, I was gonna say not just the father and son relationship like he had with Dick Grayson.
No.
Little change.
He actually, Tim Drake understood the dynamic between Batman and Robin, where Batman very much viewed it as a father-son relationship. Tim Drake, on the other hand, viewed it very much as Batman himself needed somebody to support him. This wasn't about the father-son dynamic.
Right. Yep.
This was about the dynamic between friends.
That's awesome.
And that's where whenever within the comics, that's actually the reason why Dick Grayson, the first Robin, actually left Batman's shadow, is because Batman himself refused to believe this fact.
The fact
that's a great story, by the way. If
that they were friends.
That they were friends, yeah.
Well, and like I said, that this is the importance of finding that friendship, but also, what is going to carry you through that friendship? What's the shared experiences that you can have with that person? Are you going to continually judging them? Are you going to be continuously, or are you going to add to them into your life? Because I think it's really important, especially in our day and age where, everything seems to be vetting people against each other purposely. Whether you believe one religion versus another religion, whether you're Democrat versus Republican, whether you believe in vax versus non-vax, whether you believe in, walking across the street or waiting to go through the cross lines instead of just jumping across wherever you wanted to go in traffic, whatever it may be.
Breaking the law.
Or, my personal pet peeve, I think I've shared before, is, versus those who drive down the wrong way in a parking lot.
No. Those people are just insane. I don't.
I can't be friends with them. Sorry.
I can't be friends with them. I'm sorry.
I can't be friends with them. See, well, there you go. You're making you're drawing your lines in the sand. This is as far as I go. Where you see these things and people are like actually putting out there like you can't be friends with me if you vote for a certain way, and it's like, oh, seriously, that's. And that's what I like about these stories with One Piece and things like that. That these people are coming from extreme different backgrounds. They have different ideas about life and about how things should be, and yet they can come together and they grow and they can challenge each other. So they're not stuck in your way.
That's one of the best parts about One Piece and X-Men and the Avengers and Justice League. It's the characters that agree the most with each other are the most boring. They are.
I say that.
They're the most
I say
boring.
that even about
one of the best dynamics in X-Men is actually the dynamic between Cyclops and Wolverine. In reality, they are best friends, but they do not see eye to eye together.
They challenge each other
whatsoever. They challenge each other constantly. Well, Cyclops has acknowledged this, that Wolverine constantly challenging his leadership and authority makes him a better man. But then
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine, on the other hand, says that the rules that Cyclops wants to follow makes him a better man.
Right. Well, you see that even in marriages. You want somebody that challenges you. You don't want somebody that's just like you, because then one of you is redundant and not needed and not
Hey,
necessary.
with that, we can go directly to probably the best marriage in comic books until they screwed it up, was Spider-Man and
Spider-Man,
Mary
Mary
Jane.
Jane.
You read the JMS, the J. Michael Straczynski run on that
Mm-hmm.
particular dynamic. How does that particular run start? It actually starts with Mary Jane voicing concerns about Peter Parker being Spider-Man.
Yeah. It
And they
is, to be
potentially
honest.
and potentially getting a divorce because Peter Parker will not open up to his wife.
Well, and that's the point of a friend loveth at all time. Part of what a friend does challenges that person.
Yeah.
The idea is that, okay, if someone walks off a cliff, are you going to follow and do the exact same thing? No, I'm going to slap them. So, we've talked about this before too. I hate that concept of, you do you. Well, what if you were stupid? No, don't do you. Do something
No,
different.
it's not what if you are stupid. We are all
You
stupid.
you are stupid.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
friends are going to challenge you and say, no,
As
don't do
as
that.
as I like to put it, thinking is really, really, really hard to do by yourself. It is best to think out loud, to have people yell at you that you're an idiot. That is a stupid
Right.
concept. I
Yep.
mean, that's a harsh way of putting it, but you know
Yeah,
what I mean.
because if you're stuck in your own head, everything makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Nine times out of 10, those things make sense.
It's
Nine
all
times
of
out
our
of 10.
it's all of our crazy circular reasoning. I know, it's wonderful.
It just endless. It's that catch 22.
It makes you
Well,
your own entourage, to go back to your comment
that's
earlier.
right. That's right. I'm a paranoid schizophrenic on my own entourage. That's right. That's the importance of friends. That's what friends are for. The good times, the bad times. Yeah, we can quote whatever. All right. Well, Curtis, it has always been exciting and interesting as always to be talking with you about these stuff. And this was a challenge on my part from Curtis to watch something outside of my norm. And
What'd you think?
2 thumbs up.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know if I could get into the anime. That
Well,
was rough.
if the story, if the format exists for
Right.
you to get into, I just want you to experience the story.
Well,
And
it's
it hits
bringing
all
it.
the emotional beats that it needed to, so it's totally fine. You
Well,
can
and
watch
that's
it
what
whatever
you're
way you
explaining
want.
to. Right, and what you're explaining to me is the feel of it doesn't change from the manga to
no.
the anime to this live action movie, but it's just a different way that I could hear it, and I finally understood it. And maybe, hey, that's a way to end this, is a challenge to us with our friends and our, whether it's through our relationship as a husband and wife, or our friendships, or even with a manager. Managers tend to surround themselves, that they're good managers, with people who think a little differently than them instead of the same, because you don't want a bunch of yes people. You want somebody that's going to challenge you. So find those challenges in your life. Just like Jesus did. He found somebody in his life, the 12 disciples, people that would question, people that would say, why this, why that. And I think that's important for each one of us, as humans, to find that challenge, even if they may think completely differently than us.
Oh, yeah.
Amen. I like that.
I like it. It's great. I love having
All right.
friends that
Yeah.
tell me I'm stupid.
That's right. And 2 thumbs up. I encourage you to watch One Piece. It was a good show. It was
It's
a good
great.
flick.
It is fun.
All right.
Fun.
Well, hey, appreciate it. This is Bill and Curtis. We're your Geekdumb prophets. You guys have a fabulous day, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. What?
Johnny.
What? Peace out. Yes, I will help. Of course I will. Of course I will. Spoiler alert. Of course I will. Episode 7.